เข้าเมืองตาเหลียวต้องเหลียวตาตาม or in Chinese 入乡随俗 when in Rome do as the Romans do. There has been some really ugly behavior by foreigners in Thailand over the past couple of weeks. Like some stuff you're just thinking, what on earth are they doing? We'll be going over those things today. But then when you see this kind of stuff, and many of the news articles, they talk about this saying, เข้าเมืองตาเหลียวต้องเหลียวตาตาม I want to show you how this saying can actually backfire on you culturally as well, and how to avoid it. But first of all, let's just get to the incidents. There are 3 incidents that happened. The first incident, I think, is like, it's just, what on earth were you thinking? It was a guy, and this clip went viral and it went through all social media in Thailand, of a guy at Phuket airport. And he's just standing there at the airport peeing. He's peeing on a wall. He's got all his junk hanging out there, and people are thinking, what on earth are you doing? Now, he was a passenger on a flight. He was intoxicated, as you may have guessed, and he's just there peeing. I think anyone looking at this would think, how on earth could he think that it's okay to be doing that? Now, maybe he wasn't in a state of mind where he actually knew what he was doing, or maybe he's coming from a culture where, I don't know, this is normal. And so this guy didn't get on his flight. He stayed over. He actually was detained. And when they tried to fine him, he didn't even have any money on him or access to funds. So he couldn't even pay the fine. And so in Thai social media, Thais are asking, overseas, is this okay? Does this happen in other countries where it's okay just to go and pee against a wall in a public airport with all your junk hanging out? The second incident was a boat. It was like a charter ferry, and it was taking people across the islands. And there was this guy, I think he was Russian, and he asked the captain and the crew, could they stop so he could go for a swim right in the middle of their transit journey. This is like a public journey, from what I understand. And they said, no, we can't stop. We've got people we have to take back and forth. And also it's dangerous here. And then he offered money. I'll pay you something like 1,000 baht a minute if you stop and just let me swim in here. And they said no. And it was a safety issue. It just wasn't done. It's not greng jai. You look at all these other people here. Why should we stop for you? We need to ferry them to where they're wanting to go. And so next thing you know, this guy just jumped off the top of the ferry into the water, and he's in there in the middle of the ocean, flailing about, just swimming, and people are just gobsmacked. Why did this guy do that? How selfish is he? Is this normal just to do something like this? You're on public transport and all of a sudden you just jump off? Now, the captain here is thinking, heck, what do I do? At first, they're thinking, fine, if he wants to go, just let him swim back. But then they thought, well, no, he could be in danger too. He's a tourist. They have to look after foreigners as well, tourists. And so even though in his heart of hearts, maybe he's thinking, you idiot, you stay there. They thought they'd have to go and save him, or at least get him back on the boat. And so they got him back up there. But they're thinking, what on earth are these foreigners thinking when they come here? If you missed my clip the other day on body odor and greng jai, this concept of greng jai in Thai, go back and look at it. But this is a classic example of this Russian guy that jumped in the water from the ship. He is doing the opposite of greng jai. If he just applied greng jai to one facet of that, there's no way that he would have jumped off the roof into the ocean. And so the third incident happened at a 7-Eleven. And so there was this Polish guy. He walked into the 7-Eleven. You can see on the closed circuit footage of the shop, and she's looking there on the shelves in the fridge section. And all of a sudden, this Polish guy just comes up to her and he grabs her butt and squeezes it, looks at her and just walks past again, and she is in shock. And he must have thought it was funny, it was cute. He must have thought this is an okay way to act while in Thailand. And as you can imagine, she was not happy. And so afterwards, he'd gone back to his hotel, and she actually went back to her family. They reported it to the police. And so the next thing you see on social media comes out that the police actually went and arrested this guy, and they took him in. It's a crime what he did, grabbing her on the butt like that in public without her consent. And so he had charges put against him. And so then the question again is, what on earth is going through people's minds where they think this is okay? Which brings me back to this sentence here. Khao Mueang. By the way, if you want to use this tool as we go through, this is at crackinglanguage.com. It's totally free and it will help you get your Thai on point, get your tones on point. So I've typed these words in here. Khao Mueang, to enter a country or a city. Ta liu. So ta is your eye. Liu, it means to wink. Tong. So this tong, you need to. Liu ta. Liu ta. So it means to wink your eye. Tam, following them. So, Khao Mueang Ta Liu. Tong Liu Ta Tam. When you go into a land where everybody's winking, you wink just like them. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. The Chinese equivalent of this is 入乡. So when you enter into a country or a village, 水, follow, 俗, the customs. And in Vietnamese, we actually have the equivalent. If you'd notice here, I actually have designed this for Vietnamese as well. I actually have to click over to Vietnamese though to get the Vietnamese tones. So that would be nyup, to enter into. That's the same one as this ru. So nyup. Za if you're in the north, or nya if you're in the south. So to enter into somebody's home or somebody's country. Tui tuk. So to follow the customs, which is the same as this one, 随俗. Actually, the full Chinese idiom is very interesting. It has a very valuable and relevant part at the beginning, and that is 入国, when you enter into a country, 问禁, ask people what the prohibitions are. And when coming to Thailand, you probably should do that. You probably should find out what's okay and not okay. But whether it's Chinese, Vietnamese, or the Thai saying, the problem lies in that when people come to Thailand, many of them aren't actually seeing the real behaviors of Thais. A lot of the time, the culture that people are observing when they're here, maybe they're only staying around Sukhumvit area, say in Bangkok, and maybe a lot of people are just bar hopping. Maybe they're in Soi Cowboy or Nana, or they're just in Khao San. This is not Thailand. As soon as you step into Nana or Soi Cowboy, or you're walking down there in Khao San, it's almost as though many of the locals who are there are stepping onto stage. They are not really representing what true Thai culture is. They know that they're going to give you the version of things that you want to see while you're in those places. And so take that Polish guy that just walked into the 7-Eleven, he grabbed the girl on the butt. If you're in, say, Patpong, Silom area, Soi Cowboy, Nana, and you're in the bar areas, and you're a foreigner, and you're walking through there, the girls will be there and they'll be grabbing you, they'll be grabbing your butts and, hello, misters, you're so handsome, and all of this. And so for foreigners coming in, and many of them just come and do that when they come to Thailand, they start thinking that this is Thai culture. Well, look at this. I go to Soi Cowboy, I go to Nana, I go to Phuket, to Patong, I go down to Pattaya, and they're all doing this to me, so this must be Thai culture. And next thing you know, this guy's going out into 7-Eleven, he sees a girl that he likes, and he goes and does exactly the same thing. Well, he was following Khao Mueang Ta Liu, Tong Liu Ta Tam. The problem is that the Ta Liu, the winking that he saw in those areas that he's been spending most of his time in, is not representative of actually what's going on outside of those bubbles. And they are that. They're bubbles. They're cultural bubbles that have been specifically staged for foreigners. They want to give you this adult Disneyland maybe that people come to Thailand for, but this is not Thai culture. This is why I like the first part of that Chinese proverb, 入国问禁. When you enter a country, ask what the prohibitions are. Don't just observe what you think, because a lot of the time, sometimes things are staged for you. They're being put on for you because you're a foreigner, you're a tourist. But is that really what's going on behind the scenes? So spend some time before you come to Thailand. Look at what is appropriate, not appropriate. And like I said, in my past clip about deodorant, it's not just a matter of do's and don'ts and getting a list of do's and don'ts. It's understanding why those things are a thing, and then setting your goal not as what's the threshold of what I'm allowed to do, but rather what's the best behavior I could be on to not offend the locals and other people around me while I'm in that place, whether it's Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Burma, Indonesia, Malaysia, wherever you are in this part of the world, there are social norms that are probably very different to what you would have in the West. So learn them before you come, or at least when you're here, get yourself out of the bubble and start asking and observing outside of the normal tourist traps. And there's one area where this can actually really be problematic, and that is if you decide to learn Thai. So I see a lot of foreigners coming in, and I've been helping teach foreigners Thai for over 25 years now. And a lot of the time I can hear where somebody has learned their Thai, whether they've learned it in a bar or whether they've learned it at a school or whether they've learned it through just life in general, or if they've learned it in the military. All these four main areas. There are others as well. Some you might be a third culture kid as well. So you've grown up as a Luk Krung or something, and so you'll have another version of Thai. But you can generally hear these tells. But I can tell you, if you've learned Thai in a bar, you could really ruin some relationships. And if you use that Thai then in business, you could kill things. I'll give you an example. In these girly bars that foreigners go to, sometimes the language that's used, one, it might be Isan, it's not pure Thai. Two, they will say things that they would never, ever say outside of there, unless they were with their closest friends, or they just wouldn't say it. But they think that because they're with a bunch of foreigners, they can get away with saying stuff that otherwise they couldn't say. And so I heard one foreigner, he was at a dinner with a bunch of clients, high net worth people, very respectable Thais. And so he was asked in Thai, Kin Khao, and then Aroi Mai. Okay, so Kin Khao Aroi Mai. Again, if you want to use this tool, crackinglanguage.com. They're all free. I built them to help you get on point with your Thai. If you've got Cracking Thai Fundamentals, the book, or the online program, this will also help support all the stuff in that book. So this is my gift to you. Come in, use it. If you don't have a copy of the book and you want to support, grab a copy now. And if you really want to learn, come and join Mindcraft at jacademy.com. We have a group of people that are really inspired to learn and helping each other, not just Thai, to any language you want to learn. We will have the support there for you. Okay, so Gin Khao Aroi Mai. So that's how you would normally say it. And she said it very politely to the foreigner. And then the foreigner responded with this. Apologies to Thais who are reading this. Dak Mai Long. So he thought it was funny because in bars, maybe some of the girls at the bar had taught him this word. I'm sorry again to our Thai listeners out there. Dak. This has the reaction of dropping the C-bomb in English. It literally means to eat, but it's the eating of animals. So dogs would eat this. And so as an English speaker, there's no concept of having different levels of speech. So good language, crass language, just for the word eat. How could that be a thing? But I can tell you, gin khao and dak khao are two very different things. So if you use this word dak outside of your closest friends and you're not talking about an animal, it is a huge insult and it could end up in a fight. It could end up getting nasty or even violent. And so what this lady had said to him was, Gin khao aroi mai? Is the food nice? She was being nice. And he said, Dak Mai Long. This is the lowest of the low language. Maybe it got a laugh in a bar. However, anywhere outside of that, it's totally inappropriate. And again, Khao Mueang Ta Liu Tong Liu Ta Tam. Humor, what you might think be shocking but funny in the West, just doesn't fly in Thailand. And it could turn into something really, really bad. And I just saw the color drain out of all of the Thais at the table when he said this. And he thought he was being funny because in the past, whenever he said this, maybe he's been in a bar in Soy Cowboy or Pattaya or Silom or someplace like that. But they're not laughing because he's funny. They're laughing because he's a monkey and they're getting him to say stuff that they know is totally inappropriate. But then he thinks that that's the general reaction that he's going to get outside. And when he drops that outside, it's just disastrous. So coming back to Khao Mueang Liu Ta Tong Liu Ta Tam. When you're in Rome, do as the Romans. Yes, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans, but you have to know what the Romans really do. And if you put yourself in these bubbles, in these tourist bubbles, maybe, yeah, that's what you want to do. But don't assume that this is actual Thai culture. Don't assume that this is actually the Thai language that Thais use. They're probably using it in the bar because they want you to do monkey tricks for them and you become their entertainment. If you do want to learn the language properly, we'll come to crackinglanguage.com and grab a copy of Cracking Thai Fundamentals. Come on over to my Discord server and continue the conversation. Don't be that ugly foreigner in Thailand. I'm Stuart J. Raj. I'll see you on the other side.